Lonnie Clark Nuts for Art. I wanted to bring you these stories today and put them out on the air. And I kind of want to let you know that I'm going to be doing double time with my YouTube channel. And this is also going out to my Spreaker podcast also. So hello, Spreaker people. So I wanted to let my YouTube channel know that I'm going to be doing these Google Hangout videos. And I think that I can post them up directly onto Spreaker, and there'll be a Spreaker audio cast for my Age of Fission radio show. And I think the Age of Fission radio show is going to be pieced together. I'm going to try to make it an hour, anywhere from a half an hour to 45 minutes. I'm not going to force it to be any set time, simply because a lot of times interviews go for a shorter period of time, or the person has 45 minutes of stuff to say instead of an hour. So, and simply because I don't have the time, I'm not paid to be a broadcaster. So it's kind of like my avocation. I actually have a job I have to do and work I have to get done. Although this is really vital. So I'm going to read this. This is also another experiment. I'm looking at a camera, and I don't know, out of the corner of my eye, my peripheral vision wants me to look over there. And I think that's not very good. So I'm going to look right there at the camera. And I'm practicing this for my YouTube video so I can get everything done all at once, because I miss my YouTube community. I know YouTube is considered, I don't know, what do they consider us? Like we're not credible or lunatics or something like that. But I've been on YouTube for about 5 years, and it's actually made me much more not conservative, but because what happens is if you're on YouTube and you're getting a lot of your news sources and information sources other than like C-SPAN, if you're not using the government websites, YouTube seems like a reasonable thing, right? But then you start to kind of suss it up, like there's a bunch of lunatics out there. So it makes you actually a little bit more, I don't know. It made me much more concerned to actually find the real information. So that's what I've done tonight. I found 2 stories when I was doing my reading for KEPW. I was finishing up this book. And by the way, for my YouTube channel listeners, I am not finishing that book. Well, maybe what I should do is go back and find out where I left off, because I'm almost finished with it. But my Spreaker broadcasts, actually, what I did was I was bringing all of my Carl Grossman readings together, but I had to edit them out because I make a lot of comments visually when I was reading. So that didn't sound right in the radio show for KEPW for the Age of Fission. So I decided just to start reading again. So here we are at the end of my reading. We're on page 86, Globalization and Control. I don't know where that's at with my readings on YouTube, but I'm going to finish this book. So I suggest that all of my podcasts are now going to be, in fact, even this video is going to come up as a podcast. It'll have the same title, you guys, so you don't have to bother listening to it. But you could actually, if you wanted to see what I mean by the visual cues, because I'm not going to edit this out. I've decided this is my premiere podcast for Spreaker and YouTube on the same video. I just decided I can't keep doing 2 things, and I miss my YouTube community, and I want to get to have a Spreaker community, and I'm doing Spreaker and using that for KEPW here in Eugene, Oregon. So it's been busy. This is why I haven't had YouTube videos going on, because to get Carl Grossman's show ready for KEPW, it was unbelievably like, what a pain in the neck. I just decided I'm not editing all that stuff out. I'm just going to start rereading it. And that's what I did with Helen Caldicott's book also. So you guys might have seen a podcast from Helen Caldicott. So that's what I'm doing. I'm sort of leaving those original ones to the side, and then maybe what I'll do is I'll bring them down. I'll spend a little bit of time on YouTube and take them down. Not many people have seen them. It's not like I have thousands and thousands of people, but you know what? I think that we will, once we really get to know each other and understand that this is about us knowing the facts. Like my dedicated YouTube video followers appreciate the fact that we really are intent on living a beautiful life and living the lives that we have with the facts that we know are real. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Like it's really, really, really important. Let me double check this. I've been doing pretty good, like not looking over here. I've been trying to look right at the camera. I think that's good. So this is kind of a new, I wish it's kind of weird because I keep thinking that I could show you my camera because it's actually sitting on top of my laptop, but I can't show you my camera. Okay, so that whole thing about electronics and science twists my head. But I do want to read these two articles that I have listed in the credits on my YouTube video. And the audio for this is actually going to be up, and I'm going to copy and paste those credits also and put them on the Spreaker thing. So, because the more people know about this, and this is why I wanted to do it tonight, because this is timely. Tonight is Sunday, August 19th, and it's 8:18 p.m. And I'm going to put this out on Spreaker tonight. Hopefully somebody in the Northwest will pick this up, because we need to have somebody showing up here. I can't do it. It's up in Vancouver, which is like 3 hours away from me, and I cannot do that tomorrow. Not on Monday. I can't be there. I'd have to leave by like 1 o'clock. So Riverkeeper wants to tell you about the Hanford proposal. That's the name of the very first one. This is the timely thing. Let me go back to this and screen share, okay, you guys? Because otherwise you'll be watching me read, and I think it's always much more fun when you can actually see the article yourself. There it goes. Now let me go back here, and it says share with everyone, right? Present to everyone. Okay, that's to everyone. So there we are, and let's go back to this, and then I can move the page, I believe. Wrong. There. Oop. Okay. All righty then. Meeting looks at Energy Department's plan to reclassify nuclear waste so it can stay on at site. Welcome to Hanford, U.S. Department of Energy, where safety comes first. A sign welcomes drivers to Hanford Nuclear Reservation in Richland in 2017. And you know what? That is really scary. Me and Kevin Finnegan drove past that. And that whole place, it feels like the Stepford Wives. Everything feels exactly the same. It is one scary thing. So this is a public meeting. This is done by the Columbian staff writer, Damien Passanti. Thank you, Damien. Published August 18th. That was yesterday. Public meeting, speakers from Columbia Riverkeepers, the Yakama Nation and Hanford cleanup advocacy groups. What? Explanation of the Department of Energy's proposal to reclassify Hanford waste. When? 6:30 Monday. You forgot the date, dude, but it's August 20th. Where? Vancouver Community Library, Columbia Room, 901C, Vancouver. Although the Hanford Nuclear Reservation is more than 200 miles upriver from Vancouver, the environmental group Columbia Riverkeeper wants Clark County residents to understand the potential ramifications of a U.S. Department of Energy proposal to reclassify the radioactive waste at the shuttered nuclear production site. Energy is taking steps to change how the federal government labels nuclear waste left inside Hanford storage tanks. You notice we're calling it energy, not the DOE, the U.S. Department of Energy. That's what we used to call it, DOE. They're calling it energy. By reclassifying high-level nuclear waste, which has to be removed, to low-level waste, the material would be allowed to be left in place and the storage tanks filled with concrete, then sealed with a cap. The tanks lie close to the Columbia River. In a report titled Draft waste incidental to reprocessing evaluation for closure of Waste Management Area C at the Hanford site, Washington. The Energy Department concludes that the site's radioactive waste has been remediated to a satisfactory degree and that the remaining waste, if properly stored, could be treated as low-level radioactive waste. Magically delicious, magically turning high-level waste into low-level waste. Quote, "This is one of the biggest policy decisions in recent years at Hanford," unquote, says Dan Saries, Riverkeeper's conservation director. "It will impact people throughout the entire region. By reclassifying waste at Hanford, the Department of Energy is setting the stage to leave highly dangerous waste in the tanks and in the soil beneath the tanks." The environmental organization, along with the speakers from the Yakama Nation and the Hanford Cleanup Advocacy Groups, Hanford Challenge and Heart of America Northwest, plan to give an in-depth explanation of Energy's proposal and the current progress of the site's cleanup during a public meeting at 6:30 p.m. Monday at the Vancouver Community Library Columbia Room, 901C Vancouver. Oh my gosh, I almost want to take the day off to go get that. The meeting comes just days after the federal government extended the public comment period on the proposal to November 7th. The proposal is similar to one Energy made in the early 2000s and that faced sharp criticism from environmental groups and politicians. We want people to get up to speed on the issue enough that they can contact the decision makers on this issue and encourage people to engage with them and understand Washington State and the federal delegation have important voices in this matter, Saries said. That is sad. That's like saying, wah, 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 no one's going to show up. Wow, what the heck are they doing telling us they're going to do it now? 2 days before it gets published, 2 days before, so we can't make this is, I mean, is this just coincidental? Did they do this intentionally? Did the staff writer just now find out about it? This is an important meeting. You know how long it's going to take me to get up there to Vancouver? That's a 3-hour drive from my house. And that and add another, it's at 6:30 at night, another hour and a half for the traffic through Portland and Vancouver and Salem. Lord, where's my helicopter, folks? Do you know what this means? They're magically saying they're going to take highly radioactive waste. It concludes that the site's radioactive waste has been remediated to a satisfactory degree and that the remaining waste, there is remaining waste, if properly stored, could be treated as low-level radioactive waste. They're leaving it in the ground. They're like washing their hands. They're shaking their hands and click, click, click. Let's see what the comments say. Jeannie Pressler, does Vancouver, Washington use upstream Hanford radiation monitors? Okay, she doesn't live there. Worked at Hanford for 32 years and don't have cancer. Did see a lot of screw-ups when it comes to handling nuclear waste. Oh my gosh, this person has no idea. Lyle Dahlman, let's see what kind of autoimmune deficiencies your own children have. You may not have cancer, sir, for 32 years, but your children, your wife, that's incredibly selfish. Wow. I worked at a Mission Support Alliance and my husband Wayne worked for Bechtel, both subcontractors at Hanford. My husband was a foreman at Bechtel and worked for the vitrification plant Rebar as an iron worker. My husband died of cancer in February of 2014 from a very aggressive cancer, a very fast-moving cancer, and I was advised by his doctor that the aggressiveness of the cancer was caused by something he came across while working at Hanford. It is my understanding they will never find everything that's been buried there since World War II. They can reclassify it all they want. It doesn't change the fact that it's nuclear waste. It doesn't change the fact that it's seeped into the groundwater and from there to the river. It doesn't change the fact that nobody knows how much waste has gone into the Columbia River that runs through Hanford. It doesn't change the fact that so many people have died from cancer after working at Hanford, and you can't prove it to the nth degree. If you cannot prove that your cancer was caused by something that you came in contact with, shit out. S-H-O-T, shit out of luck is what she's saying. Eeks. Shit out with you came in contact with you. S-H-I-T out. S ... I don't know what she's trying to say. While my husband was working there, he found radiation in the birds' nests that were built in the new construction of the vitrification plant from the birds taking the sand from the desert and bringing it back to their nests. Wow. That lady has some nerve. Thank you, ma'am. Comments on the draft WIR evaluation. This is what we're looking for. Thank you, Michelle Wallert. Can be sent via email to this address, WMACDRAFTWIR @rl.gov, or snail mail to Mr. Jan Bouvier, Bovier, U.S. Department of Energy, Office of River Protection, P.O. Box 450, MSIN H6-60, Richland, Washington. Also, contact your representative and Senator Murray in Cantwell. Fact sheet if you cannot attend the meeting. Let's put that up, open in a new tab. Wow. So let me take a screenshot of this so I can print it out. Hold on, folks. Did I do that right? Ooh. Oh, here, I'm going to do it on here. There you go. Wow. This is something else, isn't it? They really are planning. Look at this fact sheet. Here we go. Hanford Challenge. High-level nuclear waste and Hanford. Hanford's tank waste needs to be removed and disposed of in a licensed geological repository, June 2018. I'm going to read this full-color handout. It is magnificent. Thank you, Hanford Challenge. The Hanford nuclear site in southeastern western Washington is the most radioactively contaminated facility in the nation, with 177 groundwater waste tanks containing high-level radioactive waste. I believe I'm going to change the title of this video to something about this event. A third of these tanks have leaked over 1 million gallons of high-level waste into Washington soil and groundwater. The groundwater flows into the Columbia River. The waste is toxic for millions of years and poses dramatic threat to human health and safety. The waste is toxic for millions of years and poses dramatic threats to human health and safety, the environment, and future generations. As defined by law, High-level waste refers to radioactive waste that contain unique dangers due to extreme toxicity of the waste and the long-lived nature of the radioactivity. Hanford's Pacific Northwest Laboratories estimates that Hanford created 525 million gallons of high-level nuclear waste at Hanford. Estimates. Guarantee you that's way higher than that number. And then in a little box it says, the Department of Energy, DOE, the agency that runs Hanford, is proposing to relabel Hanford's tank waste so it will not have to comply with the expensive and time-consuming requirements of treating and disposing of tank waste in a legally compliant and protective manner, putting the Pacific Northwest at risk. All of us at the net, not just the Northwest, all of us. The proposal was issued on June 4, 2018 on the DOE's website. DOE intends to declare some 66,000 gallons of high-level waste residue in the sea tanks as waste incidental to reprocessing, or WIR, which means the DOE is proposing to simply dump, cement, or grout on top of this waste and abandon the waste in place. Let us read that again, folks. This has been proposed by our very own loving, Nazi-loving government, the KKK government. Let's see what this shows up. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to put this in their links also. Here's the actual site. So I'm going to go back to the fact sheet where I clicked on this link, and I'll put both of these in with the credits so you guys can come back and look at them. DOE intends to declare some 66,000 gallons of high-level waste residue in the sea tanks as waste incidental to reprocessing, or WIR, which means the DOE is proposing to simply dump, cement, or grout on top of this waste and abandon the waste in place. Even though DOE attempts to characterize the residual amount of waste as incidental, the volumes are quite large. 66,000 gallons, I guess so. And also, let's just think about what happened when they just dumped in place the waste in the Pacific, in the South Pacific, near the Marshall Islands. Those big, gigantic domes of all that nuclear waste they dumped down there to destroy those magnificent islands and that magnificent culture. Those domes are crumbling already. They were supposed to be 25 inches thick. The United States made them 18 inches thick, and they are crumbling as we speak. For instance, DOE provided data on just one of the sea farm tanks. C102 reveals that the total volume of residual waste in tank C102 is estimated at 59,214 cubic feet. This much would fill a football field 1 foot deep. This waste contains plutonium concentrates 12 to 57 times greater than the standard set by the DOE and EPA. Plutonium has a half-life of 24,500 years and is dangerous for 10 times that amount of time. Cement does not work to contain nuclear waste. Reports have stated that the use of grout for long periods involved in the disposal of radioactive waste more than 100 years is outside the general operating envelope for cementitious materials. The cement also allows water infiltration, and breaks down quickly in the presence of caustic materials such as nuclear waste. The DOE has spent hundreds of millions of dollars attempting to qualify grout at Hanford as a storage medium for long-lived nuclear waste. Those studies have all concluded that grout does not work. Consider, DOE has identified dozens of Hanford waste tanks contending that they contain no high-level nuclear waste, which would allow these tanks to be either left in place and filled with concrete or have waste removed and dumped on site. This proposal would shatter the decades-long consensus that the path for Hanford's tank waste is vitrification, mixing the waste with glass and the deposition in a deep geological repository, which is the only efficient way to treat radioactive waste. The proposal also violates the Nuclear Waste Policy Act. DOE does not have authority to relabel these wastes. Abandoning long-lived nuclear waste in the tanks at the volumes and concentrations that DOE is proposing also violates other legal requirements for the disposal of plutonium. Hanford is not a qualified or appropriate place to dispose of high-level nuclear waste. Leaving substantial quantities of untreated high-level nuclear waste at Hanford is illegal and poses significant threats to the groundwater and Columbia River. Let's be clear. Hanford is proposing shortcuts to the cleanup that will save money, but will in the end further damage the environment and impact human health and safety and future generations. And actually, to be honest, you guys, it's going to cost a lot more money. That's going to be way more expensive. It's short-term gain. Hanford Challenge urges the public to submit comments on the proposed actions. Check our website for details. Please do. Anybody watching this communication, please do, or listening to it, please do. www.hanfordchallenge.org. Communicate with your representatives in Congress and at the state level to oppose DOE's plan to abandon untreated high-level nuclear waste at Hanford tanks. Hanford tanks waste must be removed, properly treated through vitrification, and legally disposed of in a deep geological repository licensed by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Congress should mandate that Hanford build new tanks to protect the groundwater in nearby Columbia River from future tank failures. Don't let Hanford become an unlicensed and unregulated high radioactive waste dump. Wow. You know what? You can tell by my response that I hadn't really read through all of this, to be honest. Thank you. This is called activism, you guys. This is what activism is about. These people are going, we need to write letters, we need to send emails to this address and say no. There's something to be said about the relatively, oops, sorry, bud, sorry, Bard, sorry. I'm going to go back. Something to be said about the relative safety of leaving the tanks there. One, moving things risk breakage and worse leakage. Well, that's true. It is pork that has caused the Tri-Cities to grow far more than naturally likely. Corporate welfare is crony capitalism, should be wiped out. Should stop shitting all over us, dude. So this is the guy. He wants to know this. I have a unique perspective of Hanford. My wife's family was displaced by the establishment of Hanford when their farm was taken away. They had to leave before harvesting crops that were hanging on their trees. My dad worked for the Defense Department of the Manhattan Project, and in the later 50s worked for the Atomic Energy Commission. This is fascinating, you guys. Like, this is interesting. Read these comments. These people, we have all been affected. Let me see how long I've been talking. Hold on, I'm sorry. Let's see. Let me come back to here. Beep. I don't think I can see how long I've been talking. Oh, dear me. I think I will. Actually, I want to read you this other article, though. There's two articles that really people need to know about. Besides them deciding that they're going to like sell us out and just leave the nuclear waste, look at this one. This is, I don't know, this is God talking, you guys. This is like boo doo 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 doo. This is, I guess, what we call the methane, the escaping methane. This is from the Tri-City Herald. This made my skin crawl when I heard this. A hole up to 2 to 3 feet across led a stop work order at Hanford Nuclear Reservation tank farm until more is known. This was dated 2 days ago, you guys. Small unexplained holes stops work at Hanford Tank Farm by Annette Carey, Richland, Washington. This is not very long. I'm going to read it all. Video inspections are planned out of an abundance of caution after a small unexplained hole in the ground was discovered near an underground tank storing radioactive waste at the Hanford Nuclear Reservation. So what do you think is coming out of there? Can't see it, can't taste it, can't smell it. That's why they stopped the work, because they know that those people have been exposed. Work was being done Thursday to compact earth in preparation to add an asphalt covering over the soil at the SX tank farm in the center of the Hanford Nuclear Reservation. Listen to how this is what they do. The farm has a 15 single shell tank. Now, those are 1/2 inch shell tanks, each with a 1 million gallon capacity. The asphalt covering will keep precipitation from driving any waste that has previously leaked or been seeped deeper into the ground. A worker noticed a hole up to 2 feet in diameter, around 6 feet from one of the tanks, as the worker was prepared to make a second pass to compact the soil there. Workers left the tank farm. It was the appropriate action when faced with an uncertain condition, said Jerry Holloway, spokesman for contractor Washington River Protection Solutions. Employees were preparing for work in another part of the tank farm Friday morning when one or more of them called to a stop to work out of concern that the hole could be a sign of a problem with the integrity of the nearby tank. Workers may stop work if they have a safety concern. Surveys have not detected radiation or chemical contamination at the hole. Plans are being made for a video inspection. I wonder if there's methane escaping. Plans are being made for a video inspection inside the nearby tank and to see if a small camera can be lowered in the hole in the ground to see how deep it is or determine other information. Oh my gosh. Holes sometimes appear at Hanford site unexpectedly and do not necessarily indicate a problem. For instance, wood buried in the ground may rot away and soil may fall in, or a pipe may be removed from a ground and the soil may subside later if it has not been compacted. So that's what they're doing. Wow. And no comments here, but this is a brand new story. So there's like a sinkhole there. There's something going on up there. There's always something going on up there. I mean, honestly, look at this. Look what this guy says in these comments. Look what these people are talking about. Right? This man, his unique perspective. He told me cows and sheep were dying in the pastures. As we now know from the downwinders and all the thyroid cancers and problems in these areas, people who lived in these communities paid the ultimate price When the government doesn't work for the people, regardless of national security concerns, the people who make decisions that affect people should be held accountable. To this day, this is an ideal that has never been met, and the net result is a cleanup that will never end, and those complicit allowed to continue to destroy people's lives and our environment. Bottom line is, there's only so much they can destroy. That's the bottom line. There's only so much they can destroy. So let us look at this. Please write your comments to draft over here. The draft WIR evaluation. Comments on this is what it's called, the draft WIR evaluation, and tell them to not store high-level radioactive waste and not to refile it. No, I guess what they call reclassify it, so that people cannot do that. What kind of insane world are we living in, man? That is just like the freak zone of the world. That's what I think. I'm going to stop sharing. Here's my second glasses. Let me make sure that worked. Yep. Hi again. So I have no idea how long I've been talking, but when I saw that story about the WIR, I think that's really important. I think I'm going to retitle this, not the nuclear stew is heating up. I think I'm going to rename it DOE to stop the DOE. I don't know, what should I call it? Something like that. I got to rename it so people know the DOE is trying to reclassify nuclear waste as like just regular, like no big deal. Low. They're going to reclassify it as low-level waste because it's not that much. Like, what kind of insanity do we have going on here? These people are just completely insane. So I'm almost finished with this book, you guys, The Weapons in Space. The audio that I put up tonight on Spreaker on Weapons in Space took us through almost to the very end, but there's only like 10 pages. So my next audio for Carl Grossman will be over. And I am going to continue to read Helen Caldicott's book, which we're not very far. I think we're only at page 29 or 30 or something like that at her book. I've actually figured out, now this is partly why I'm going to be doing this, my Spreaker, and these things fell on my foot. I'm like, oh my gosh, felt like a bug. Sorry about that. I'm going to be doing my YouTube video and the Spreaker audio, is that I think I can upload my YouTube videos directly onto Spreaker and they'll just go out. And I think that's how I'm going to do it. Because I have that audio time and I don't want to not be on YouTube just because screw them. I mean, honestly, because I'm so sick of everybody saying, oh, YouTube's so blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? I'm one of like, how many people follow me? Less than 500. If I had maybe 20,000 people or 100,000 people following us on these nuclear issues, I actually wouldn't have to be on YouTube. Because then people would be calling up like that thing, like, oh my God. They're actually trying right now. The Department of Energy is going to reclassify high-level nuclear waste in Hanford as low-level nuclear waste because it's not that much. It's what they say, 57 cubic gallons of it. That's a lot of nuclear waste to be leaving there. 66,000 gallons? That's a lot. They're considering it not that much because they have millions of gallons there. Percentage-wise, yeah, it's not that much, but it's a lot of waste. And they're just going to cap it off and leave it and let it seep in. It's outrageous. And then at the same thing, to the very same day, we hear that there's now like what, a sinkhole or some kind of a sinkhole going on up there at Hanford. It created a work stoppage. So I'm going to plug away and I'm going to post this up on my Spreaker thing. Like I told you before on my YouTube channel, I'm slugging it out. I'm figuring it out. Like I haven't figured out if it's going to work. I saw on Spreaker tonight that it takes MP4s, which is what a YouTube thing is an MP4. So all I have to do is get this and boom, put it up there. I believe. I hope so, because I get 21 hours a week on Spreaker. That's what I paid for. I'm going to be putting up, in fact, I did my yard work yesterday. I did not do this, but Dave Parrish has given me permission to put up his YouTube videos, his Fuku Fridays. I'm going to make a time for Dave's videos. And same thing with Libby Halevi for nuclear hot seat, but I have to actually do that. So that means I have to set it up and I have to do it, which takes some time for both of those. And I have been reading this book, which actually took me so much time because I was trying to piece together my YouTube videos. And so now I'm just going to just read these books and forget my YouTube videos and do my YouTube videos here. That's what I'm going to do. And then post it all up on Spreaker. How about that? But I'm not going to make like these long readings for YouTube because for the Spreaker thing, it's easier if I just like, boom, do it one long time for the radio show so I don't have to edit them all together. So that's what I'm going to do for the readings. But I am coming back here. I'm going to be doing some interviews. I'm interviewing Nancy Knoll next Thursday. I did do an interview with Weeping Willow 2 for you about her plight with the disabled people in Kentucky, about all the things that she's kind of gone through. And then we ended up, like at the end of it all, kind of having a political conversation. I'm going to cut that off and make that like another half-hour video. I'm going to create like a little political show, and I'm going to put it on there because it really was hilariously political. We're completely opposite, but we're friends, so it was interesting. It was it's worth having and making sure that we actually have that conversation out in the air. That's what I think. And that's what I think about all of this is like, we need to just like show that we can have peaceful conversations and that we can believe in the future, even though it looks bleak. Yes, it looks bleak. But it's always looked bleak. Like, let's just be clear. At what point in human history have humans actually had a stable position in their lives? I mean, throughout most of humanity, humans had a rough life. I mean, most humans have not had it easy. And so just because, I mean, this was like the ironic part. We had it going on. It was pretty easy. And then they screwed it all up by making life really complicated because it's all polluted and chemically polluted, nuclear pollution, all this horrible stuff. Like, I actually do want to drive up there tomorrow night. I mean, I'm thinking that maybe I should wake up at 6:30 to work so I can quit at 1:30 or 2 o'clock so I can get up there. Because in order for me to go from Eugene to Vancouver, Washington tomorrow, it's at least a 4-hour drive. God dang. For a 2-hour meeting. Is it worth it? It is, but I have to work. I wish somebody could do my work. It's not even about the money. It's about being responsible to other people. Darn, that's what they do. They give us this little enganche, right? That little hook that hooks us in no matter what. We find that thing. Anyways, you guys, I am going to end here. I want to thank you for coming to my YouTube channel. And I am going to see if I can actually post this up as a Spreaker podcast tonight. So I hope that works. And I hope I've been able to kind of look in the camera a little bit when I'm talking to YouTube. It's kind of like a new setup if you can't tell. I actually set my camera up on top of my laptop so that I have to look straight at it. So, and I've decided I'm not going to try to look at my computer screen. I'm trying so that I'm not like binging my eyes all over the place. If I'm going to look at you, I'd rather just look. And then I'm actually seeing that my glasses are reflecting the light. So I've got so much stuff. There's all this lighting. This is why people want these big studios, because you get this vanity thing going on, or you can't handle the light reflecting in your own eyes when you're trying to talk to a camera. It's like this weird stuff. I don't know. Does it really matter? This is the thing. Does it really matter? What really matters is if you're in Vancouver tomorrow night or anywhere near Vancouver, Washington, go to the library. I'm going to put the link up. It's really important that we make a public comment to the Department of Energy. I'll have the links in this page to make a public comment to stop them from reclassifying I think it was 66,000 gallons of highly radioactive waste and calling it not highly radioactive, treating it as low-level waste. That has to be stopped. The public comment is open until November 7th. So we have time to contact them. So please, please do. I please beg you to please get involved. Just make a public comment. I'll have the links in this podcast, both on Spreaker and on my YouTube channel. So put your courage feet on, you guys. You know what that means when I say put your courage feet on? It means do stuff even if you're afraid. Because actually, guess what? You don't really need to exercise your courage if you're not afraid, right? So put your courage feet on. Let's move outside the box and help save our planet and stop them from making it way worse than it already is. Ciao, you guys. Bye. Thanks for watching and listening.